So in continuing ed, we always get the piece on advertising, and it's not just fair housing because usually it's about fair housing and making sure that you're not advertising inappropriately. But it also was going about how are you advertising in your mailing, in your online, and I went and looked around and saw that, you know what, we could do some tightening up here. So, what I wanted to do was to review the advertising rules for realtors, which one thing to keep in mind when you see a really great campaign for X product doesn't have fair housing laws, cars, um, magazines, makeup, clothing. They don't have this whole fair housing, and you got to let people know who you are, and you've got to make sure that they know who the company is. They don't have these requirements. So I wanted to remind us that even though we see some stuff that looks great online, we may not be able to do it in the real estate world. Doesn't mean it's illegal all around. It just may mean that we're not allowed to do it in the real estate world. Okay, so I just wanted to connect on this and make sure we nail some of this down. And then if you've got some questions, feel free to ask them. So the basic list that we have, and we have a an advertising checklist, and so I'm pulling some information from this for our office. Your ads have to have your name, your contact information, the KW United logo. Now, for us, our KW United logo has our name in it. Some people may have a logo and there's no name in it. Maybe it's the alphabet of their name, or they're like, ABC Real Estate may just have it ABCR. Well, that's not what the law means. It means what is the name of the company. So we definitely have to have KW United in there, not just the KW logo. You have to have the office phone number, which in review of many of the postings and things that we're doing, I'm seeing the office phone number is not there. And this is a state law that it has to be there. And then a state law is the city where the office is located, the address. And then for NAR, what jurisdictions are you licensed in? So you may be doing a piece for Maryland or specifically DC. You still need to say Anthony Carr, licensed VA, MD, DC. I guess for our local area, we could do DMV, but you speak outside of our Northern Virginia, DC area, and people go like, "What are you doing at the licensing agency?" Um, and so this is the link where the Virginia State piece talks about the advertising. A couple of disclosures you need to have on your advertising. If you're sending a mailer or putting out a flyer, each office is independently owned and operated. That needs to be there because we're a franchise. So we do that. Remax, Century 21, all these that are franchises, they have to have this disclosure. You need the equal housing logo, the Realtor logo. I'll show you how I have that on one of my postcards. Um, and your farming marketing material should also include the following. If you are currently under a brokerage agreement with another agency, this is not a solicitation. So you're mailing something out. You got to make sure they know I'm not soliciting you because we know that that's illegal. And then also, information is deemed reliable but not guaranteed. If you're sending a postcard out about a house, this is on the lower part of the MLS on about every page, but we need to put that in there if we're doing flyers or something like that. So we only know what we've been told and been able to verify. And then put the source of the information, like is it Bright MLS, nvar.com, realtor.org. Don't just plop it out there as if you're the one that came up with it originally. We are consumers of media, we are curators of media, and we are creators of media. Most of the stuff we're sending out, we're curating. So you are curating that information from another source, and you need to tell what source that is. Here's our advertising checklist. Office information, Falls Church, that's our new address. This needs to be somewhere in your print media. somewhere which is one click away from your posts. Okay. And I'll get more into that in just a second. Then the phone numbers of the offices. I know it sounds like, well, I want all my leads. Well, King and Keller Williams, you get your leads. If they call the front desk and they say, I've got this house I want to see, and we ask them who's on the sign. And sometimes we've gotten phone calls. I do not know how or why. I said, is that Keller Williams United? No, it's with ABC Real Estate, but they're calling our number. So I don't know how we got in the mix there. And when we do that one, we kind of look who's in the office I can pass this to. But generally, not generally, it is, if it's your listing, you're getting the call. We're connecting with you and making sure that you get that phone call from the front desk. But that front desk number has to be there in all jurisdictions. And that is a consumer protection piece. Um, when consumers maybe get in they're upset with their agent. The law is such that, well, you need to get a hold of the broker. I know we run into some issues sometimes where the agent is the broker and they're a one agent brokerage, so sometimes that's an issue. But what about my entity? State law requires broker information to be promoted so consumers have the brokers to contact the broker. Entity licenses are held by agents. These are some of the entities in our office. I have an entity under Anthony Carr Associates, the Walker team, the Gaskins team, Tim Pearson Home Sales team. We have a lot of entities. You don't have to have a logo, but what I see that agents like to do is like they put out um, all the marketing under the entity, and it sounds like that the entity is the brokerage, and you can't do that. You have to have this KW United broker information on there so they know that you're not the brokerage. It is going to someone else if I've got a problem. This is my latest postcard. This is the front. Watch Anthony's 2025 real estate forecast with a QR code. Let's talk or text. There's my personal phone number. And then here's where I have the compliance. I have the address here of the office, Falls Church. I have KW United on it. And then down in the lower signature, I've got the office phone number. So I'm covered on all fronts. Okay. That's generally what we're looking at. And then we're going to spend a little more time on social media in just a minute. But your signs, they should have, this is just a sign that I got from one of our sign vendors. This is what it generally should look like. You're going to need a direct number, which would be your number, but you have to have the office number. In Virginia, they don't have to be the same. So I don't think either jurisdiction, the number has to be on there somewhere and it has to be conspicuous rather than inconspicuous. You can't really put the logo of the company down in the lower left-hand corner and it's barely noticeable. They got to be able to say, "Oh, it's KW United," and there's their phone number. They don't have to, take the sign off and go get a microscope to look at it. So you can have your own personal information on there, but you do have to have the brokerage information on your signs. So social media. These rules are taken from hootsuite.com. Really good rules, I thought, on social media. Rule number one, identify yourself. The agent's full name, Rodney Jones, not Rod. So I wouldn't be putting Tony Carr. I'd be putting, Anthony Carr. Point of contact information for the agent or brokerage. We've talked about that. The brokerage company's name. And I'll show you how you can do that. Now, in Virginia and Maryland, it's not that everything has to have this on a banner on everything that you post. But within that posting, there has to be at least a one click to somewhere where they can get this information. At least the media realize that. The latest rules I found, I think it was in DC, was from 2001. So they need to update some stuff. They just call it the internet. Rule number two, always credit the listing agent. If you're posting something like I'm having an open house, look at my open house I'm coming to. You need to credit the listing agent. I like what this agent did here. This is from California. The lower bottom piece down here, seller represented by Laura Martinez, Compass, listing share courtesy of listing agent. So this is a co-worker of Laura Martinez, okay? So she's putting it out there that this is who actually is the listing agent. Don't use another thing on this one, and we're actually pursuing a complaint on this where an agent was under contract, not even sold. She was under contract with our listing and decided to send a postcard out to the community that she was under contract as the buyer agent and didn't mention us, didn't mention the listing company, and then lifted our bright MLS photos for the postcard. Totally against the rules, against ethics. So we're filing a complaint with her and her broker. They don't know it yet. We're getting our case together on that. Don't use bright MLS photos in your marketing without permission from the listing agent. That would be like if I'm going to go promote something, and I'll show you how to post where you are in the clear on this. Whenever I'm posting my listing, I go to my website, anthonycarhomes.com, and I look for the property, which is a KW site, and I pull it up. And if it's KW site, it's taken care of. All these things that we're talking about. Okay. Social media, take ownership of your social media posts. It's your license on the line, not the vendor, and you can't blame the vendor. The state's going to say, we don't care. You hired them. You're the head honcho. So make sure that you take ownership for all this kind of stuff. Present listings truthfully. This would be in the area I've got right here, distance to metro and transportation. Look, if it's 2 miles away and our thing says 1 mile, you can't click the 1 mile link on transportation. Fake photos, lifting photos that are older, showing that it looks great. Rentals are notorious for this. You'll do a rental and you'll go see a rental and you'll go like, man, that is like, 20-year-old pictures. Then confirm the information. Don't just lift it from the another listing somewhere in the community. You may have to, at least find out what they say is available in the community, but then call the association, call the condo association and say, are these items still available? Sometimes old information can get in there and they say, oh no, we closed down that golf area, something like that. Don't post negatively about other agents. Man, watch out for third-party platforms. When I mean this is there's a few out there where agents all come together and they ask questions. And my thing when I see these, I'm not going to point any names out, but they definitely let things get going. They're not monitoring it. These portals, they're on Facebook and on predominantly it's Facebook. Um, an agent gets upset at someone and says, they say, well, I didn't name the agent, but this is what happened. And boy, they just go to town and everyone is, you know, yelling and hollering. You need to make a complaint. You need to do that. And you need to do this. And I've had it on both sides where we had one of our agents complain about an agent online, didn't name the names, but you could easily come down to that if you know who's posting and find out, oh, that was the agent. So you got to be careful with that. Um, and just don't complain. I knew of one instance that was on one of these third party platforms where the agent was bragging about how she negotiated so well, and it came down with what she was bragging about that she hid pertinent information from the seller, got in trouble, complaints, and she lost. Didn't lose her license, but she had to do some stuff. Protect people's privacy. There is the standard, I have the closing and here's the big key from the title company, and that's okay. But be careful when you're like taking pictures over their shoulder, when they're sitting and signing, if they're doing a closing in their house. We think it's just a closing. Well, it's their private residence. So you want to make sure that you're not telling too much of the client's story. You know, I really helped this widow out, and she was able to move into the adult 55 living. Well, maybe she didn't want that whole story told. So be careful what you're saying about things that are about your clients. They may be quite shocked if they run into it. Adhere to Fair Housing Act. This kind of comes up, and this was coming up early on in social media that if you're advertising a listing or something and you're boosting it, you can go through and target your audience. Um, I mean, I saw it where you were targeting race, nationality, language. I mean, everything that we couldn't do, you could target. Um, Now, there's nothing illegal from a retail perspective of targeting a Japanese speaking audience or a Spanish speaking audience. There's nothing illegal with that. There's nothing wrong with say, hey, I want to go after people that are single because this is a product, unless it's real estate. Just make sure you understand that. Other products and businesses, they can target down like that. We can't target down by marriage, nationality, religion, language. We can't do that. Now, it doesn't mean that you're violating something if you publish something in a second language, hey, I speak Korean or I speak Spanish or I speak a foreign and I produce it in that language to go after that. That's fine, but to only in a social media setting, which is predominantly English, to go and say, "Hey, I'm going to go after all the Buddhists in this area, the Christians in this area." Now you're targeting your advertising by a protected status, a protected class. Okay, and you have to be careful with that. And so just be careful. I think that's it on the social media. That is it. Okay, good. Were any questions on those things that I just talked about? Any things you'd like to, without, this is a safe zone. You're not in trouble if you did something wrong. Okay.
So Anthony,
Yeah.
the one quick click away thing, talk to, so if we have our website
Yeah.
on the marketing material
Mhm.
on social media, for example, and on the website on the main page at the bottom is KW United and all that legal language. Does that satisfy the one click away?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. I'm going to share my page real quick. All right. So this is my Facebook. This is my personal Facebook page. Okay. So if I'm posting from this, it may not meet it. And Misty, I'll come to you in just a second. However, if I'm doing something with, I was looking at the different sites here. If I share from Anthony Carr Realtor, here's my information on my company. There's the office number. And when I looked at this getting prepared for today, I had to go in and change my phone number. This is the only phone number that's on this. And that phone number was my mobile number. I was like, okay, I can't do that. So I had to remove that.
Well, can you hold on?
Yeah.
Why can't you just have your number and then go back up, maybe next to, oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
There and anybody can educate me on this. There may be another place to put another number, and that would be great. But and in today's world, remember these laws were written back 2001, 2007. The latest one I saw was 2018. So they're actually kind of getting updated there. And the states just take so long.
What
So
about just in that intro paragraph? I
yeah,
think that,
that would work. That'd work. Leave this mobile number here
yeah.
and then just put because on my Instagram, that's what I did. I put it in the About Anthony section. That would work. And then here's my website. This is a KW website. Um, and so wherever you go here, if I put anthonycarrhomes.com and people can click and get here, I see I need to go in here and update this. So I got to go in and do that. But it has that's I think the state's trying to say, all right, are you doing that? Are you having a one click somewhere? The challenge with Facebook, and I don't want to point anybody out, but when I went through looking at some of our postings that we have, um, there were quite a few um, postings where it's you want to brag about your listing, your sale, your buyer bought something, and you make a meme or just a posting picture and you put your email, your website, and the phone number. No click to anywhere. That's what we've got to watch out for. You got to put the KW United logo on there and you got to put the office number on that posting. Unless when you're posting that where it says, you know, Bob Smith, comma, Realtor, that they can click that and see it, you would be covered there. But I would submit on these little graphics that you're creating about just sold, just listed, under contract, here's my open house. The first thing I would do is link it to the site, to your website. And then when they click it, the site is then compliant with the law. But to make a JPEG out of a format that you got and you're not putting in there the required information based on the state rules, you may run into an area where you could get dinged. Misty, what was your question?
I think you answered it when you were talking about having the required information in your bio.
Yeah,
So we also have like a graphic on our social media posts, but then we have a lot of information in the body of it,
yeah,
the text, and
for sure.
that counts, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, yeah. Just make sure that phone number, the biggest thing is a phone number and the here's KW United, Kingstowne, KW United, Falls Church. So that if a consumer, and this is what it's about, consumer gets upset, they want to call me. They want to call Sheila. They want to call Steve. They got to have a phone number that they can call. Trust me, they find it. Okay. Or the email. They get that too, for sure. So that's it in a nutshell. What else is going on?